IQ Retail on the Cannafrica Training Academy. With us today is Augustine. Augustine has set up the IQ Retail in all of our outlets. And so today, Augustine's going to explain to us crisply that, how to onboard our participants and then how to allocate product to that participant for each time they come to one of our outlets. I'm going to, I've made it available to share your screen, Augustine, if that's what you choose. Hi, Augustine.
Hi, James.
There we go. So please introduce yourself. And then if you, I've made the available for the screen to be shared, you can share the screen if you choose. And if you could just do a quick introduction, and then if you could guide us through the process of how we onboard our participants, and then how we allocate product to them every time they come to one of our outlets. And then we can go into the frequently asked questions, and then I'm sure we're going to have a lot of questions from our participants, how to search for products, and the likes of that. So please go ahead, Augustine.
Hi, everyone. So sorry, just I'm out of power now, so just have the challenge with the laptop power. But what I want to find out is that is everyone got access to their systems at the moment?
Yeah, Bo.
Hello?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so are you if you're logged onto the system, I would like everyone to be able to go through the process whilst I talk. But before I do that, I would like to just find out from your current experience and all that, I would like to just address some of the key issues that you might have before we actually go on to adding more features and all that. So if you don't mind, just letting me know.
Okay, excellent. So Tulani, can we begin with you? Please feel free to ask Augustine any of the questions that you have currently.
All right. Good day, Augustine. How are you? I'm Tulani from Palito in KZN. My question to you is, when I'm trying to load a customer to a cell, does the name need to be light, or it can be darkened in a way? And also, on their balances of what they've taken, is it possible for it to show the numbers of items they've taken day or concurrently, so that you know that maybe they come in today, they've taken already maybe 10 products so far? Because right now, according to our system, all the guys that have taken any products from us is still on 0. And then when we try to, when you add the customer, it's not highlighted or anything. It's just the name appears on the system, but it's faded or something. So I don't know if that means we did it wrong, or how can you assist us on that?
Okay, so let me see if I got you right. So you're talking about when you capture in IQ system, you have captured the details of the data, and then when you're doing a sale, you have captured the products that have been sold. But when you go into the system checking your stock sales have not been updated. Is that what you're saying?
Onto the customer's account, no. Onto the customer's account, it's still 0. Nothing has been updated onto the customer's account.
Okay, so the customer, did they pay cash?
Yes, or by card.
Account. All right, so thank you for that question. So one of the first things to understand with the customers is that what we are doing is we're getting the information about their purchases. So when you create the customer, you are creating the records for all the sales that are going to be on them. So depending on your access levels, you might be having access to reporting, which would then give you the history of the customer. So that would be on debtors inquiries. So what we've got at the moment with point of sale is that for selling, what is critical is to be able to allocate the purchases to the customers. So at the point of sale side, the history of what has happened with the customer is not part of that, but it is captured in the system and it is available when it is required for a review.
No problem. All right. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, pleasure.
We unmute. If Mbali, could you give us some queries that you might have for Augustine, please? Hi, Mbali.
Hi, James.
Hi. What questions do you have for Augustine as far as IQ Retail is concerned?
Okay. Hi, Augustine. I'm Bali from Springs Mall. Okay,
Hi,
I just tried with one customer for now, and what I've noticed is that I did put on the customer's details, and when I was allocating the sale to that customer, nothing really showed, but when the receipt came out, it just showed the customer's name and just a product.
Yes, that is correct. So what the system is doing is that when you do a sale, it is recording what the customer has purchased. But maybe just for me to understand from your side, what is it that you're expecting so that we can reconcile expectations with what's going on?
Oh, I thought maybe if I was, let's say I'm putting in a customer's information and then I allocate that sale to that customer, then it is going to show on the system that that customer bought this, or maybe it's just one item or two items, but it doesn't show anything.
No, so you are quite correct in that when a customer purchases, the purchase is recorded to the customer. So like I was saying previously, the reporting of what the customers have done and the detail on the customers is available, but I think it's just not available on your menu. So at this point here, that what you're talking about refers to an analysis of customers, of purchases for the customers. So that is a separate thing to the point of sale transactions where we are recording. So I would put this, for instance, if I'm to compare with, say, what happens when you go and say shop at ShopRite, right? Or Checkers or any other place, right? So if you use your card to purchase, your purchase is recorded and the reporting of what you have purchased is not necessarily available at the till point or even to you at that moment, but you have access to be able to then get the report. So in terms of the customer reporting, it is available in the system, and every time that you have done a purchase, it is allocated to the customer. So if the name is on the receipt, then we have accomplished what we need to be able to have that sale recorded onto the system.
So that means I was doing it right. I have nothing to worry about.
Yes, you do not have anything to worry about. So if you have a sale and the customer name is not appearing on the receipt, then we have a challenge.
Oh, okay.
Right, because the customer name should appear on the receipt as evidence that that sale acknowledges that the customer has been associated with the purchase of the product.
Okay, thank you so much.
Excellent. And so, Chulani, I think that might answer your question too. And so I think once you've added a purchase to an existing client, just make sure that their name appears on the receipt. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
Beautiful. And so it's obviously a reporting thing, as Augustine explained. And so, you know, from the back end, we will have access to that. But just please make sure that if it is an existing client, that when you print the slip, that their name does appear there. I think that that clears it up. So thank you for that particular question. Who else? Do you have any more questions, Talani? Are you happy with the way that you navigate the system?
Oh, I'm good.
Excellent. Very glad. And Mbali, are you happy with everything else apart from the question that you posted?
Yes, I'm good.
Excellent.
One question, James.
Please,
Sorry.
please.
Okay. Does that mean I have to add all the customers from the first customer or just the new customers?
Add all of them from the first one. We do know that you occasionally do have time, and if you can just sit and load all of the participants, so that we're ready. So if they return to your kiosk, that you can bring up their name, and we can accrue these products to them, so that we have this history.
Okay, so that means I must also add the products that they bought, or just their names?
Their names, and where you can, the products, please. But it needs to be accurate. So don't just do it for the sake of it. But if you do know what they have purchased, then please add that to that customer.
Okay, because James, I'm asking.
James, on that one, if I may just interject.
Please do.
Okay, so when it comes to your historical purchases, because we're dealing with a stock management system, it means that every time that you record a sale, it involves a movement of stock. So the historical sales can be captured, but not as simply as just going into their history, because it would affect your current stock.
I see, you make perfect sense. So
at this point, it is a great idea to add all the customers, so that should they come back, you don't start adding them during the sale. So every customer should be added onto the database that you've got information. And then as far as the transactions, it means you will be capturing the transactions from the time that you started using the system. So as of now, we're saying current customers and the future customers, you capture all the transactions. But as far as the old transaction, you are not capturing the transactions themselves, but you're capturing the customer details.
Okay, I got that.
Does that make sense? Eh? So, just in recap there, if you need to capture all of the customers, but we're not going to duplicate the sale. So capture the customer, the next time they come, that's when their history will begin.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Anton, I know that you've been using this system for quite some time now. Do you have any queries?
James, not really, but yeah, to create a customer on the system, I haven't gone as far as to actually generate the information on the slip. I'm actually standing in front of my point of sales now, but I'll just play with it, and because myself are generated as a customer, so I'll work with myself as an example and see when I actually print something, that my own name will appear on it. So I can submit it, and then it asks for customers, but I haven't gone as far as to actually print the slip.
Okay, excellent. So I'll get some feedback from you later on that. Dean, how's your day going there, Dean?
How are you?
My day is going great, but I'll get on to this point. Luckily, I don't have historical things to worry about at this moment.
Yes, you are fortunate. And you're happy with your use of the system thus far? You've played around. Are you happy searching for products, for instance?
No, not really. To be quite honest, I don't even have it yet.
Okay,
that's something that needs to happen before we open.
Okay, super. So I'll be with you next week, and we'll continue with that one.
Yeah.
Roxanne, are you there? Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Really good. That was a lovely, bubbly voice.
Great.
So you've recently...
Well, extra bubbly because we had new visitors today in the shop, but one could consider them as legitimate visitors.
Yes.
With visible badges and visible names and badge numbers. I think you kind of know where I'm going with this conversation.
I do.
I would love that conversation to expand, just for entertainment's sake.
So last week we had some visitors from illegitimate policemen, not willing to show any of their badges, and immediately I knew from just having history working with people like that I knew that they were not legitimate, purely on the fact that their badge numbers and their names were not visibly displayed. So I knew exactly what I was dealing with. But then today we had the complete opposite, even a complete change in demeanor of the actual SAPS, should I say. And so, yeah, no, and they were very interested in the products and what we were doing. And they will be returning next week. Shame, as I was actually on mom duty at the time of the occurrence. But Shanae, my little superstar, was there, and she handled the situation perfectly. She showed them the relevant documentation that they required. She pointed them to the documents we had hanging on the wall. And they mentioned they'll be returning next week to have a chat. So I'm hoping that another conversation today went well, so that we could be having a letter, so we don't have to have a chat anymore.
100%, Roxanne.
I hope they bring cake and tea next week.
Tea and scones, darling, with a bit of strawberry jam.
Beautiful. Yes, Roxanne, I'm going to get feedback from Herschel this evening. He's in Cape Town at the moment. But definitely by next week, you'll have that framed. In every one of our outlets will have a document framed for these purposes. Fantastic.
I'll go and get a frame tomorrow in preempting.
An A4, yes. Anyway, back to the task at hand.
The system, yes. So Augustine has been an absolute superstar, helping us get all online and sort it out. And yeah, no, he absolute superstar. Thanks, Augustine. Much appreciated, dude.
You don't have any issues there. I know that you're very new to this and you're very competent, and so you're enjoying the experience.
I know, trust, yes, 100%.
Magnificent.
Yeah, we've been in constant communication with Augustine on anything that we've found or having problems with. So, yeah,
no, he's a champion, and
very happy going forward.
Very glad to have him on the team.
No, definitely. Augustine, I just wanted to ask Augustine one question as to when on previous conversations you had made mention that Mark was busy sorting lists out and so forth. I just wanted to have a somewhat of idea because I'm needing to do a backtrack on a recon with regards to that, just so that I can balance off on my side. If you could just drop me a WhatsApp and let me know a preempted date so that I can put that on my calendar as to when I can start my recon.
Okay, no, that is fine. So maybe also this might be relevant for anyone else who might be considering that, so who might not be aware. So on the stock list, Mark is working on streamlining the stock list, cleaning old codes from the system and deleting any codes that are not relevant. So if you also noted that and you were thinking about working that, I just ask that you wait maybe until early next week, which by that time I'm sure Mark will be done. The reason being, it is a great idea to have uniformity in the codes. It will reduce a lot of the errors in terms of like your stock movement. So if the code that you receive is the code that you're selling, then it is a big part of stock control. So if awesome. You're also working on that, Mark is working on that so that everyone doesn't have to work on it. So what he's working on is working on streamlining the descriptions, and then also we'll be looking at adding some features that will make life easier for you when you're selling. So as an example, you've got the description, which is what appears on the product, on the receipt, but the alternative description will contain information that will assist you in identifying products and sometimes also identifying properties of the product. So ideally, what you want to be able to have is have the system assist you in getting the information that you would probably have on a secondary source. So for example, the uses of the products, we'll also be looking at adding the pictures of the product so that when you are looking at the product, the identification is easier because the picture is also a part of the product. So we're working on that process, and I'm helping Mark with that. So I will confirm with Mark, and then maybe James, you've got the details for everyone. You might just update everyone in terms of like the dates.
Yep, 100%. I have everybody's details, so I look forward to that very much.
Hello, guys.
Thank you so much.
If I may interject.
Please do, Talani.
I was thinking of what if for all the products, we get some kind of like a barcode for each and every product, which we have a book or something that we can simply scan. not
Yes.
necessarily that each and every product comes with each barcode, but you know that for a gummy single, the barcode is this one. I've got my book with the barcode. For a big biggie, the barcode is this one. I've got my code for the barcode. So that when it comes through, you just simply take your scanner, you scan on that barcode, and then you do yourself. Because sometimes when you are alone and then it gets busy, you have to look for each and every product using a certain SKU. It's a bit of a problem. And then you end up making so many mistakes. So instead of putting probably maybe barcodes on each and every product, we can simply send the stores barcodes for all the products so that we can just simply scan from like one book or one pamphlet of something. I don't know.
100%, Tulani. Roxanne has achieved that already. And so she has a few sheets. She has a baked sheet, a pre-roll and flour sheet, and she has a Zoll Life sheet. And so I'll get that data and share that with you, and then you'll just be able to print that. And then, as you mentioned, you'll just be able to scan that code for simplicity and to speed up the client's experience.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, that is definitely a great idea to learn.
But
okay,
like I said, Roxanne has taken the lead on that already.
Yeah, no, that is great. So what also, I mean, as you guys get more familiar with the system, we'll then also be adding some additional features to help you in your navigation and your processing. So you will appreciate that when you start using the system, one of the things that you've got is that you've got limited menus and limited things, and that is not something that is an oversight. That is by design. So the learning process is faster when you don't have to learn things that are not very applicable on a daily basis. So, but as you use the system, you will find that you will then be able to handle a lot more, and the flexibility then will be a good feature to add. So we are going to be adding some of those. So I will help you, and you will find that when we add some of the features, some people will prefer to just use what they've been doing. Some people will prefer the new features. The idea is that people become as fast in using the system according to their preferences, and the different preferences will be there. So what I am referring to in terms of like your processing is that it is possible to be able to add products onto grids. So at the moment we've got categories. So some of the most popular categories, we can add a grid where you can just select the button, and it will give you what you've got essentially as your list of barcodes that you're scanning. You could also just have them as products that you just select from a whole pop-up screen, which has got key products. So in this case here, we might have them by department, but we might also have them according to, like, say, your fastest movers, which makes your life much easier to process, especially for the products that do not have barcodes. So the products that have got barcodes are very straightforward. You just scan them and that's it. The products that don't have barcodes, at the moment you've got the option, you will have the option where you can just scan, like what Tulani was talking about, and which I believe, is it Roxanne who's already doing?
She's already sent it.
which is a very good idea.
So Tulani,
So
I have sent it
so
to you already.
In addition to that, I would then be adding what is called quick pause buttons, which are you will just be able to select, and it will be much more convenient. So at this point here, those quick buttons might differ per store, because what is moving as fast as far as the products that are not listed. So we might customize those, but the basic setup we have available for everyone, and then you can customize. So also, like what Roxanne was saying, if you guys have any issue, or even when you want to add to your knowledge, you can contact me anytime. The idea is that the system should help you so you don't have to work as hard.
Oh, that's awesome, Augustine. I'm sure that everybody will take you up on that. So thank you very much. And it's also exciting that these new additions are coming through.
James, we are losing Augustine there.
Hello. Yeah.
No, you carry on, Augustine.
Sorry, someone was wanting to ask something.
Anton.
So
No,
please
I
go
was
ahead,
just saying
Anton.
we were losing Augustine there. He was coming and going, coming and going.
There was a little moment
50%
of
Oh,
interference.
sorry. Am I back?
Yes, you are. You're back. Thank you. And so, thank you, Augustine. Roxanne has already shared these barcodes, and so I'll share that onto everybody's groups just to speed this up. Who else has some questions for Augustine? Either Sia or Denzel. Are you guys at Town Square? You happy with the way things are going?
Yes, I'm okay. Thank you, James.
So there's nothing that you have any queries with. You know how to add on to the existing customer if they take new product.
Yes, I was shown last week. I do know how to do it.
Excellent. But I would like, Augustine, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you could just run us through the process, please, of the onboarding of a consumer the first time they come to us, and then the process of how we capture additional products to the consumer on their return. If you could just guide us through that for the YouTube channel, please.
Okay. All right. So let me just see if I can get my device to share.
I have enabled it so that multiple people can share screens.
Right. Okay. So I'm using my phone currently, and not my device. So I'm just trying to also just connect it. So at the moment it was just giving me an error. I think it was probably the network. But okay, whilst I'm doing that, maybe let me take everyone through the process in terms of like the logic of it in terms of like your customers. So the first thing is that you've got two types of customers, your cash customer, you've got your credit customer. So when you are selling in the stores, we are assuming that the majority of the customers that you're dealing with are all cash customers, right? And not credit customers.
Mm-hmm.
So that means when we create our customer, the system has the capacity and the capability to be able to identify whether someone is buying cash or whether someone is buying on credit, and we'll treat them differently according to how the customer is set up. So when you create a customer and you then enter the payment terms as COD, that is a very critical element, because what you are essentially doing is you are making sure that the customer will pay whenever you finish the sale. So that is a critical element of the setup. So we are also fine-tuning that element of the setup, because what we've got is you are able to have the default. So I realize that for some of the guys, you do not have the default set as COD. So I am going to set up, I was just reviewing that yesterday. So for everyone, we set up that whenever you create a customer, the default payment terms is COD. So which means when you enter the cell phone number and when you enter the name of the customer, then the payment terms, unless they are definitely approved credit, you don't have to worry about that. So at the moment you do have to select COD, but from tomorrow you won't need to select the COD. I'm going to make that a default setting that every customer is created as a COD customer by default.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. So the COD.
Yes, sorry, I don't want to interrupt
someone
you, Augustine. Sorry, Linia, I don't want to interrupt you. But yeah, whenever someone says that, they do that. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
James, just to circle back to previous conversations we had on these meetings. Will you guys be able to, or maybe it's got nothing to do with me, you're mentioning COD, but will the slips actually print out to say total contribution instead of like total and pay type? You understand what I'm saying?
I do. That's a very good question, Dean. Thank you. So Augustine, you know that we don't actually sell product because of our research project, and so it's a contribution. Could we make that change to the slip that the customer receives, so it doesn't show a sale, but it shows a contribution? Would that be possible?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to
is
do that as a
possible.
default as well.
Yes, it is possible. Indeed, it is one of the changes that I was referring to that Mark is working on.
Oh,
right. So it is it's something that you brought up that is quite critical. So all the products that are part of your contribution, we will have on the receipt contribution, and then it will have on the system as alternative description more details about identifying which specific product you have dealt with. So the barcode or product code will allow you to be able to identify and manage the different stock items, because it is important to not just group all of them onto one code. Otherwise, it becomes a nightmare managing the movement. And also, I do understand that the contributions are different for the different products. So for instance, if someone is dealing with 1 gram, is different from 5 gram, they can't just use the same code. They need to use a different code to identify the product that is moving and for your stock control.
That's absolutely perfect. And I think that answers. Yes, I think it does. Dean, you happy with the answer there?
I am, yes.
Beautiful, thank you. And then Augustine, if you can just continue. So now that we've selected that our consumer is COD, what would the next step be?
Okay, so now when we've created and accepted that our customer is COD, then we accept to save the details of the customer. So in terms of like your details of the customers, what I would like to find out is whether it is standard for everyone. Do you guys have forms that are the same that you're using?
Yeah, so the process at the moment is that we fill out the physical form because I need that receipt to come back to head office. And then when our retail staff have time, then they capture that onto the system from the physical form.
Okay, no, that's excellent. So basically what it means is that you are able to capture the cell phone number and the name. Those are the 2 mandatory fields. And then any additional information you can add after the transaction. So for you to add a customer to the transaction, you just need to have the ID, in this case, which is the cell phone, and then the name to identify who it is, which is the description of the name. So once you've got those 2 properties, you're okay. Excellent. Are we together on that one?
I think everybody is very clear on that. So thank you. And then just run us through the process. If our consumer returns, how do we search them by name or telephone number, or both available?
Okay, so both are available. So you can search by name and you can search by telephone number. So if the default of the system when you are searching is, for most people, it is the cell phone number. So if you just typing the cell phone number, it will give you a listing and of all the people that have got those digits that you have typed, and it will eliminate such that you don't have to type the full number. So once you have typed a few digits, you can then be able to select the relevant customer. So anyone who's coming for the second time, you do not need to recapture because they're already there. And you just need to type in their cell phone number and then select the customer.
Magnificent. That really does streamline things, and so everybody, I think that Augustine has made it very clear how to streamline this. Been very, very intuitive. Thank you, Augustine. Does anybody have any closing questions? It seems that Augustine has mentioned that if you do get stuck with something, he's always available. If he's not available immediately on a call, he will get back to you. We're very, very glad to work with Augustine, and we look forward to a long and prosperous relationship. The new products that Augustine has mentioned earlier will come into action within the next week or so, and so I think that will just streamline it for our entire team. So thank you, Augustine. Do you have anything in closing for us?
Okay, so what I would add is, so obviously today we're focusing a lot more on the capturing of the system and on the on making sure that you've got the right customer details. But just in general, what everyone needs to understand is that when you are doing your sales with your tendering, because I've had a few questions about the tenders, so it is very important to pay attention to the tenders, whether it's cash or whether it's card, because it does affect your balancing and your reconciliation of your cash. So if you do it right the first time, then it is easy to be able to manage those cash apps. And then also what you've got is that I know some people have started using your cash apps well, but I would encourage for everyone to declare their monies and to use the cash app facility, because it allows you to be able to record the history and to be able to go back into the system to review what has happened. So, and then when it comes to any issues that you've got with Cash App and your daily, if it is done on a daily basis, you'll find that you get to the bottom of it and it is easy to manage. If you do it more periodically, then it becomes more difficult to manage, especially if you're going to need to do some refunds. So for instance, if cash was captured incorrectly and needs to be corrected, it is much easier to do on the day before you do end of day than to have to do that after the end of day. So I would urge that everyone just starts paying attention to that. So when you look at your cash app report, make sure that everything balances, and then you don't have to worry about it in the future. And if you have any questions about any of the functionality of the cash app or how to do it properly, I'm available anytime, even if it means it's at night when you're doing your cash app.
I very much appreciate your time, Augustine, and I think that you've made it clear to people how important it is to do these processes. And so thank you very much, ladies and gents. Thank you for those that attended. This is a recorded session, and this will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel. And so this was session 11, which covered the offerings of Augustine from IQ Retail. So thank you very much, everybody, and I look forward to next week. We'll see you then. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks. Cheers.
Thanks then. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.